Hello friends, welcome to Insights ICANN initiative. In today's video, we are going to discuss about G20 2023. In this video, we are going to discuss about what is the logo, what is the theme, and the new members who added into the G20, who invited into this meeting, and we are also going to discuss about some of the static information regarding the G20. As today is the 9th of September, as just now the G20 meeting started. Once the G20 meetings are concluded, that means today and tomorrow, once these meetings are concluded, on Monday you can expect a detailed video on G20 highlights, as well as if any bilateral meetings are happened between the India and other countries, in that video you can expect. Now, so it is going to be the series of two videos. This is the part 1 and the part 2 will be on Monday, both Saturdays as well as Sundays. Okay, these G20 updates will be covered in that video. Now let us see. First, we'll go through the syllabus mapping of this particular topic. This particular topic is related to gender studies paper 2, where it is clearly mentioned about India and neighborhood relations and important international institutions and regional groupings also. Now let us see the video components. In this video, we are going to discuss about why this particular issue is in news. Okay, why G20 is in news. You know that because India is hosting for the first time, that is the reason it is in news. Then beginning of Amrit Kal, what does it mean? I'll explain. Then the logo, main venue. You know that in the main venue, even we are having the Nataraja statue. Apart from that, our Prime Minister, while he was greeting some of the leaders, in the background you can find the Konark Sun Temple wheel. That kind of information we discuss. And the theme of this year, G20, what is the theme? And even we included the program of life also, G20. And tell me guys, so this year African Union given a permanent membership. Tell me how many countries are there in the African Union? How many nations are there in the African Union? Then we'll discuss about the significance of G20. What is the meaning of G20 Troika? And how does the G20 working mechanism? And finally, what are the challenges facing by the G20? These are the topics we are going to cover in this video. First, we'll see, like G20 and the G20 logo. You can, if you look at here carefully, you can find the three colors of the Indian national flag, and on the backdrop of it, you can find the planets. That means you are giving more emphasis towards the sustainable development. Below the logo, I will explain again the details of this logo, what is the inspiration behind this and all these things. Below the logo, you can find Bharat 2023 India. Already I explained in one video regarding the Bharat and India name change debate and issues. Okay, I'll include that video in this video description or else in the cards. Okay, you can go through that video. The theme of this year G20 is One Earth, One Family and One Future. This is the theme of this year G20. As I mentioned earlier, on the backdrop you have a Konark Sun Temple wheel. Then these are the G20 nations. They are spread across the globe. Actually G20 is nothing but these are the developed and developing countries. They created this platform to discuss the economic issues. What are the problems the world economy is facing and the solutions provided to that, like that economic issues. So regarding this G20, these member countries they spanned across North America, South America and Africa, Europe and Asia. So all the continents are having representation in the G20. And now the African Union given the permanent membership in the G20. Before the African Union, previously only one organization, that is European Union, used to have permanent membership in the G20. This year is very remarkable. One is new members added into the BRICS. And if you remember, tell me students, which are the new members added into the BRICS? Tell me. And new members now added into the G20 as well. Okay. Now, why it is in news? It is in news because India is hosting the 18th G20 summit between the 9th September as well as the 10th September. To attend this, various nations, presidents and prime minister, they attended. And one more thing you have to remember, the G20 is happening in the backdrop of tensions due to the Ukraine-Russia war and China's aggression in the South China Sea. That's the reason China president not attended the G20, this year G20 meeting. Amid this rising tension in the Indo-Pacific, South China Sea and the Ukraine-Russia, this G20 is having a very significant moment. What are the issues they are going to be discussed in the G20? issues such as climate change and reforms we have to bring in the multilateral development banks such as World Bank, IMF, socio-economic consequences due to the Russia-Ukraine war, and welcoming the African Union. These are the issues we touch upon in the G20 meeting. Next, beginning of the Amrit Kal. You know the students, last year we celebrated the 75 years of the Indian independence, Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. From last year 2022 till 2047, this year this time we are going towards the Amrit Kal. Amrit Kal is all about the 100th anniversary of the Indian independence. Now, this G20 is marking India's journey towards the Amrit Kal. Okay, India's journey towards the Amrit Kal, where the futuristic, prosperous, inclusive and developed society which is distinguished by human-centric approach. So we are aiming for this kind of nation by 2047, and we can consider this year G20 as a beginning towards, this year is a beginning towards the journey of Amrit Kal. So here G20 included the G7, Russia and rest of the member countries. Previously Russia used to be the G7 as well. At that time G8. When Russia occupied the Crimea in 2014, at that time Russia was expelled out of the G8. So G8 became G7. Next we will discuss about the significance of this Nataraja idol, and we will go through the logo and motto and theme of this year G20. If you look at the logo, you know students, the logo of this year G20, it adapted the tricolors of the Indian national flag. Those are the vibrant colors which are such as of saffron, white and green, along with the blue present in the wheel, Ashoka Dhammachakra. Apart from that, it is also representing, it is having the globe along with that lotus. The earth is representing, the planet earth is representing the pro-planet approach, such as to life, as well as our development must be in harmony with the nature, that is sustainable development. Along with that, the lotus is reflecting the national flower, and it is also reflected the growth amid the challenges. You know that lotus grow in like mud waters, across the challenges it grows. So that is what this lotus is reflecting. And below the G20 logo we can find the word Bharat, which are written in that Devanagari script. Main menu, the name of the main menu is Bharat Mandapam, which is going in the Pragati Maidan. Nataraja statue, the 27-foot Nataraja statue, it is made up of different alloys, and this Nataraja statue, it reflected the Chola dynasty's culture between the 9th to 11th century. And this Nataraja statue very popularly present in temples such as Koneri Rajapuram and Brihadishwara temple and Tanjavur temple. And this Nataraja statue, it was made with lost wax method. By using this method, this statue was made. Then, theme of this year G20 presidency. The theme is about Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. In English, we can say it as one earth, one family, one future. This Vasudhaiva Kutumbam concept we borrowed from the Maha Upanishad. From the Maha Upanishad, we took this line, that is Vasudhaiva Kutumbam. And the theme is reflecting the value of all life. Vasudhaiva Kutumbam is all about, we are not only giving value to the fellow human beings, even we are giving value to the animals, insects, and the plants and everything. This year theme also we focused on the approach of life. Life is about changing the individual habits from individual level to community level, so that we can practice more sustainable ways. So that is about the life program. Life program starts at individual level and it grows towards the nation level to achieve the sustainable development. So up to this, these are the developments related to the current G20 meeting. Now you have to know G20, the history of the G20 and how G20 works and what are the challenges facing by the G20. Now let us see those details. G20. It was formed in 1999 because at that time financial crisis was faced by the East Asia and Southeast Asia, especially countries such as Mexican, Asia and Russia financial crisis. You know that by the time USSR was disintegrated. So when this financial crisis was happening in the world, there was a necessity to bring financial stability To bring this financial stability, developed countries and developing countries, they assembled together and they floated the idea of having the one common organization to discuss about these financial issues that resulted to the formation of G20. The main objective of the G20 is about securing the global financial stability by involving the developing as well as the developed countries. G20 summit is also known as Summit on the Financial Markets as well as the World Economy. And first G20 summit, it took place in 2008, Washington DC. There the first G20 summit was held. Next, what are the other initiative this year? Okay, so the other invitees. In this year, not only the G20 nations, India specially invited around 9 countries from various parts of the world. Okay, out of these 9 countries, let's see what are these nations. From Asia, we invited representatives from Bangladesh, Mauritius, Oman, Singapore and UAE. These representatives attended. And from Europe, we invited representatives from Spain and Netherlands, from Africa, Egypt and Nigeria. And regularly, this G20 meeting is attended by some of the organizations also. This year, we invited some new organizations heads. They are International Solar Alliance, Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure, and Asia Development Bank. These organizations heads also invited to this year meeting. Next, so permanent member countries are 19 member countries, one organization, that is European organization. Now this year we added one more organization, that is African Union. And India is a member of the G20 since its establishment. Permanent invitees of G20 are always Spain, UNO, IMF, ASEAN and African Union are permanent member groups. Out of this African Union, now we given the membership, active membership in the G20. African Union, it consists of around 51 nations and the African Union chairperson Azale Assoumani. You know, the giving membership to the African Union is very significant. Why it is very significant? Because the African Union 51 member countries, the support is required, especially when India is aspiring to get membership, permanent membership in the UN Security Council. In this context, we definitely require the support of African Union. So, giving membership to the African Union is very significant to the India's aspirations in UNSC. The significance of G20. G20 member countries are representing around 80% of the global GDP, 75% of the global trade, and 60% of the global population. G20 members collaborated to address certain global issues such as international financial stability, inclusive growth, mitigation of climate change, and sustainable development. On these areas, very frequently we are focusing. Next, G20 Troika. G20 Troika means, so to smooth transition of the G20, 3 countries together they form as a G20 Troika. It consists of the present year G20 in host, last year and the next year host, next year future host. All these 3 nations together formed as G20 Troika. The present G20 Troika includes last year G20 host Indonesia, the present G20 president India, and the future G20 is going to be held in Brazil. So these 3 countries together known as G20 Troika. How do the G20 works? So the most important thing you have to remember, G20 don't have any permanent secretariat. G20 works by meeting through Sherpas. Sherpa means a representative from one country. He organizes, he coordinates with the other countries. So G20 Sherpas. They organize, they work with the finance ministers and the heads of those states. India's Sherpa is India's former Niti Aayog CEO Amitabh Kant. Next, some of the challenges facing by the G20. These challenges are increasing population of the world. So according to that, we have to plan. Then changing dynamics in the global politics, increasing global geopolitical rivalries due to Russia and Ukraine, dilution of the credibility of multilateral institutions, such as like World Bank is losing its credibility, WHO is losing its credibility. In that context, so we have to uphold the value of G20. That is also one of the challenge. Then impact of the rising inflation. These are the challenges needed to be overcome and they are going to be discussed in this year G20 meeting also. Next, last video's question. Who among following is eligible to adopt a son under Hindu law? Who can adopt? Who has no son surviving? They are eligible. Rest of the people, they are not eligible to adopt a son. It was about yesterday's video question. Then today's video question. In today's video, we discussed about in which one of the following groups are all the 4 country members of the G20. So which group is reflecting that? Okay, all the 4 countries are having the membership in the G20. Okay, pick the right answer. Question: do you think G20 summits have lost its significance? Okay, and critically analyze that. This is the main question. As we reach to the end of this video, here we are going to discuss about the structure of G20. G20, we discussed about G20 theme, G20 motto, and we also discussed about G20, like emblem, and we discussed about this new members added in this G20 Tricom means, and why joining of African Union is very significant to India. Apart from that, we also discussed about the issues very frequently discussed in G20 fora, challenges facing by the G20, significance of G20. So these are the issues we discussed in this particular issue, and this is about the detailed analysis about the G20.